So doctors had the upper hand and the money when it came to the PR fight against midwives. The final straw came in 1915 when a very influential doctor, another fucking man named Joseph DeLee, made public statements that made many people lose faith in midwives. Why do we listen to these fucking men? He essentially said that midwives lacked training and expertise and that doctors should handle pregnancy. Just like that French doctor, it's like, here we go again. He believed that there was an essential flaw in midwife thinking. To midwives, pregnancy was just a normal part of life. To the medical community of mostly male doctors, it was seen as, again, like a dangerous condition that needed to be monitored by a hospital. There was a lot of hope and promise about new medical developments and science happening during that time. So a lot of complications that pregnant women feared now seemed like they could be solved, but in the hospital. There were articles being written in women's magazines telling them to find a reliable doctor, male, of course, because he knew what was best for her body. By the 1940s, the message was very clear in America. If you wanted your baby to live, you gave birth in a hospital with your male doctor. So with doctors present, it took the guesswork out of birth complications. There were reportedly less infections, so women now had a chance of living a normal life after birth, but behind the scenes, there was always something shady going down. Despite convincing everyone that giving birth in hospitals was the safest thing to do, there was no decrease in the number of women dying during childbirth during this time. Pregnant women were living and dying at the same rate, whether they gave birth in a hospital with doctors or at home with their midwives. When I was doing my research into what modern birth is like today, I was shooketh to learn that the United States has quite the bad reputation. According to a study by the Commonwealth Fund, which I'll link down below, the United States has the highest rate of preventable deaths in pregnant women than any other wealthy country. We're number one. We're number one. America's great. We're number one. Yeah. Yeah. Love America. And get this, sadly, the number keeps rising. So we're still number one, baby. I guess there are about 24 deaths per 100,000 live births, which sucks. In 2021 alone, which I don't know, was 3 years ago? Oh my God, I thought that was last week. But in that year, 1,205 women died giving birth. And that might not sound that bad, but think of it like this, because when I heard it like this, I was like, wow, that's 6 commercial airplanes full of passengers just dropping out of the sky and blowing up, no one talking about it. Doctors have said that most of these deaths could have been prevented. So what the hell's going on? I mean, it's 2024. You would think we'd be in the future. We'd be living in a time of medical advancements and hopes to prevent all of this, right? Jeez. Many doctors say it has to do with the rise of diseases like diabetes, heart disease, and even obesity. But honestly, the problem is the mortality rates were high even before America had those problems. So stop lying. And listen, that's not even the core of the issue. The research shows that so much of that death happens because mothers don't get the treatment they need in time, or they don't even get treatment at all. And that's especially an issue if you're a Black mother in America. There are so many heartbreaking stories about Black women and families asking for help with unexplained symptoms or pain, and doctors completely ignore them. Their symptoms aren't taken seriously, or they aren't treated as quickly as other women. The explanation, according to physicians like Dr. Monique Rainford, an OBGYN, says it's because of something called implicit bias, aka racism that's baked deep inside. She says, quote, a caregiver may think that they are doing the right thing for their pregnant patient, but their implicit bias against the woman's race affects the care they deliver. According to the Center for Disease Control, American Indian, Alaska Native, and Black women are 2 to 3 times more likely to die during pregnancy than a white woman. Oh, fuck. Maternal death rates, specifically in the Black community, are about 70 deaths per 100,000 births, which is more than double the national rate for other women. And the worst part, yeah, because there's like a worst part, so many mothers and infants could have been saved if they had doctors who took the time to listen. I don't know, if they had doctors who did their job. What is the problem with doctors not listening? What is that about? I give up. I say we bail. Let's get the fuck out of here. Where are we going? Europe? I'll figure it out and I'll let you guys know. Stay tuned. Many women also believe the solution is to go back to the ancient way of doing things. No, not rubbing your titties with a poppy plant, even though like I'm all for that. Foreplay. But by bringing back the midwives in like a hospital or birthing center situation. Yeah, right? You know what's funny is like growing up, when I think about like, I remember hearing about midwives and stuff, and it was always seen as like, it was kind of frowned upon, right? They really did have bad PR for quite some time. And it was all these fucking male doctors. Bring back the midwives because people need to have an advocate working for them, really. Just push one out in your backyard. Find that tree, hold on for dear life, get a midwife, squat, push it out, okay? That's probably way better than going to the hospital at this point. Because if you're lucky enough to have insurance in America and give birth in an American hospital, I hear it can feel like a rushed process with a really high bill to follow, you know? I don't know if you know this, but I haven't had kids, but I guess if you do have a baby, you birth one out at a hospital. I guess like you're in, you give birth. If you're lucky, you don't have complications, then you're rushed the fuck out. If you have a C-section, it's kind of like they cut you open, you're stitched up, and you're sent back home 2 to 4 days later, right? There really isn't like a detailed follow-up process for postpartum care. And I guess it's usually like a one-size-fits-all situation. I hear in the UK, you can push one out and then like go home and you don't even get a bill. Can you believe that? Wow. It seems crazy that right now we are seeing the consequences of something that happened hundreds of years ago. Like one French dude tried to take over birth. Well, same with the Peters guy, as if like his college degree was better than thousands of years of women's lived experiences. Birth is not a problem that needs solving. I'm sure you're aware, but it's a natural process that just needs, guides to help women on the journey. And of course, yes, it's nice to have a doctor in town if things go wrong, but I never really thought about it until this story of like, they do treat childbirth like an illness, right? That's like such a weird way to think about it. Another thing that stuck out to me throughout learning all of this was that so many mothers just don't feel heard. Their symptoms, their pain, their suffering were cast aside, probably because doctors didn't believe or trust I don't know why the fuck they do it, right? And like, that's a big problem because when women get to the hospital to give birth, they're placed on a bed on their back. Freaking news to me, and probably to a lot of people out there, that us women, we do have a choice when it comes to the position you're in when giving birth in a hospital. For example, at Lancaster General Hospital, it's like part of the University of Pennsylvania health system. They outright say on their website, quote, "Your care team should allow you to deliver your baby in whatever position works best for you," end quote. Wow, what an idea. So it's like you can recline, you can kneel, you can squat, you could whatever feels right, you could do it. I feel like childbirth should be this beautiful thing, right? I mean, it's like so incredible that our bodies can create life, and the fact that you can it comes out of you, that's wild. And the men just turned it into this psychotic, traumatic experience. And I hate this story. But ladies, listen, I actually don't have any advice for you other than you're allowed to speak up and, I don't know, get a fucking midwife. Good luck.